Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. So I want to start my presentation by reiterating the vision of our Prime Minister, Honorable Prime Minister, to make India the skill capital of the world. And rightfully so. If you really look at the demographics of India, today more than 50% of Indian population is under the age of 25. And if you really look at age of 35, 65% of our population is under the age of 35. By 2020, it is estimated that an average age of an Indian would be 29 years. This, if you really compare with the other global countries, China would be 37, Japan would be 48, which means India can truly be the skill capital of the world. But if you really look at the other parameter, which is a very concerning parameter, is that only 2% of Indian workforce is skilled labor. So how do you address that? And to address this challenge, which is a very startling challenge, our government has introduced a program, and one of the program called Pradhan Mantri Kaushal Vikas Yojana. Under the program, the government intend to skill about 27 lakh people, skill and certified 27 lakh people within a year. So, what are the primary objective that were given to us? So, primary objective really was to create awareness about this program. So, this program was essentially created to reach out to the bottom of the pyramid consumers, which are really deprived, unskilled, not certified. So how do you reach to those consumers, skill them, train them, certify them, so that they can have meaningful employment? How do you mobilize them to the training centers, and how do you link this talent that's been built to the industry, which is thriving and which is actually always on a lookout for skilled consumers? So primary challenge that we really figured out was to identify the candidates and link them to the right training center. That's perhaps what we realized in the early stages. So how do you reach? I mean, the fact was that we have to reach to the larger set of the consumers and create awareness about this program. So what medium of communication could be chosen? Traditionally, government was using activations, melas, mandis, BTL, print ads, but which is absolutely irrelevant because one, they were not very scalable, they were not very cost effective. At the same time, they're not really reaching out to the bottom of the pyramid consumers. So what we've realized that today, everybody has a device to mobile, and mobile perhaps could be leveraged to reach out to this consumer. So what we did is, we reached out to one key stakeholder, which is the telecom body. So we reached out to COAI, which is Cellular Operator Association of India, the nodal body which manages most of the telcos, and we asked them to give us access to their audiences. Second is, we reached out to NSDC, which is the nodal body of training partners, and Netcore Game Changer obviously created the application to create this ecosystem. Now what we really did is, we reached out to telcos, asked them to help us identify the right set of consumer base. So based on parameters like ARPU, locations, density, rural marketplace, we did a massive campaign. We reached out to about 440 million people through communication, and the communication was essentially asking consumers to demonstrate their intent by giving a missed call. Now, the idea was that while we were running this campaign, we did a lot of prototyping. One of the biggest prototyping was, what is the communication that I should basically reach out to these consumers. So we did a lot of content prototyping. So one big thing that we did was, we made the content relevant by using local languages. So we leveraged 11 different languages to make the connect with the consumers. The other thing that we did was using the right keywords. So the first important aspect was the believability of the communication. So we use keywords like Sarkari, Muft, Naukri, certification. All of those was essentially to get the excitement level and the belief from the consumers. Now, after we got the missed call, what we really did is, we used our application to reach back to the same consumers and profile them on parameters. So there were certain parameters that we wanted to profile them on. So key parameters were location, employment status, age, gender. So the idea was to actually reach out to consumers who are in the employable age and not reach out to senior citizens. That was essentially the idea of profiling this. Once we got the location of this consumer, we created a parallel ecosystem. So each of these potential candidates were then linked to the nearest training center. Now this was extremely essential because most of this potential candidate had very limited means. So if I ask them to travel 700 kilometers, it would be difficult. Yeah. It would be difficult for these consumers to travel because they don't have the means. So our idea was to actually, identify those locations, drive them to the nearest training centers. And then the right counseling was offered to these consumers. Now, if you really look at the impact, what we could really do within a very short span of time for this program is, this is some of the image of how consumers move to the training centers, is within a very short span of 10 weeks, we reached out to about 440 million people, creating awareness about this program. We got 7.5 million, 75 lakh people giving us missed calls showing their intent to get skilled. And out of this, about 2.7 million people, or 1/3 of these people, actually shared their profile, locations, employment status, and blah, blah. Now, these consumers were then driven to the nearest training center. The second important aspect was that we have given equal opportunity to every consumers and every citizen in the country. We got response from 98% of the PIN codes in the country. So we got responses from 18,800 PIN codes out of the 19,100 odd PIN codes, which was incredible, which means our communication has reached to every citizen in the country, every relevant citizen in the country. The other important aspect was who has actually participated in the programs. So 93% of the respondents that we saw were people who were unemployed or underemployed. So this was very, very essential to make the program relevant. Now I have certain more information about the program. So if you really look at it, this is the gender split, 80% male, about 12% female, unemployed, underemployed. This is the district-wise split. What was also very important and essential was that most of the response came from Bimaru state, which are highly unemployed states, like Bihar, UP, Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, and Maharashtra. So what was our aspiration? Our aspiration was essentially to create a program which is technologically scalable, completely visible, transparent, and efficient. Which is why what we've done is all the 75 lakh database that we've created a panel, a portal, where the database is uploaded on NSTC, which will be done very soon. And all the training partners could perhaps pull the relevant data based on parameters, could be location, could be age, and then do targeting right through the portal. So they don't need to buy database, they don't need to run mobilization campaign. They can go to NSTC if they are a registered partner to NSTC, source the data, schedule their campaign, run it, which makes the program extremely scalable, efficient, and transparent. That's all I have to present. Thank you all.
Thanks.